Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bitcoin Daily. Today's story is going to be about manipulation and capitulation. Right now, as you speak, Bitcoin is being manipulated, but it's okay because you know better. That's what happens. It's the way markets work. And we're going to walk through everything that's actually happening so you can have a focus on what's important and where we are going. So literally, Bitcoin has just fallen $2,660, and that's what they're doing. They're wicking down to liquidate the leverage longs, take their Bitcoin, stick it in the ETF. Same old story, different day. Let's jump into the story today again. Manipulation, capitulation, and how Bitcoin is the black hole. And shout out to our Patreon community that make all of this possible 7 days a week. Solar Bitcoin and Coffee says, I've been a Patreon sub for over 3 years. The alpha is YouTube's best. Nowhere else do you get such rewarding info. Well, love that. Thank you so much as well. Solar Bitcoin and Coffee, you rock. And thanks for being an OG from day one. Bitcoin only playlist exists. If you're just interested in Bitcoin only content, this is the place for you. And the link will be here. Thank you to the team that works behind the scenes. We now only have 36 days to go. 36 days. That's not a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. And congratulations as well. Every day, maybe not exactly right now at this minute, but every day on average so far over the last 2 months, over 2,000 Bitcoin millionaires are minted every day. 2,000 Bitcoin millionaires. Very exciting. Now, let's see who is buying Bitcoin right now. And you can see here, it's the first time since literally that monster dip in November 2023. We now have every single cohort buying, with the exception of maybe 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin holders. They're kind of neutral, buying a little bit, on average neutral, but everybody else is buying big. And it's funny, I did say yesterday that retail has arrived. Well, look at all the retail buyers. Deep blue as well as the whales. And this is from Bitcoin Monger, non-stop, furious accumulation from every cohort. We're going to teleport higher from here. TikTok, as Bitcoin Monger says. Let's break down some more data. Mr. 100's back. I think he must have been on vacation. Mr. 100 is an individual or a high net worth individual or a fund or something in Korea. It is clear, but they're called Mr. 100 because they buy 100 Bitcoin a day. But today, make sure I've got the same date. No, yesterday, sorry. They bought 4 times 100 Bitcoin. And it's funny because they sold a little bit. They sold a little bit at 68,000, and then they bought it all back at 72,000. So they just lost about 400 times $4,000, which to them is nothing because they own $3.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and their DCA strategy is to buy between 100 and 900 Bitcoin a day in 100 Bitcoin increments, which is massive. Also, the ETFs stacking trend. This is from 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗞𝗚. Last week, spot ETFs saw net flows of 30,000 Bitcoin. I'll repeat that. 30,000 Bitcoin went into these puppies last week. And known entries like exchanges and miners hold around 3 million Bitcoin, including 1.5 million by US entities. Now, at this rate, we will see a liquidity crisis in the next 6 months. Liquidity crisis means you will not be able to get your hands on Bitcoin. I said this yesterday. 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗞𝗚 says it today. Let's go. Let's look at some other data here. Breaking news. Yesterday, I did say Blackrock had a huge day. I have a model that analyzes volume and calculates the exact inflow. But despite a $495 million outflow from Grayscale yesterday, Bitcoin ETFs took in $602 million. So they sucked in all of Grayscale's dumpage and had a lot more too. And you can see here, top of the charts, iShares Bitcoin Trust from Blackrock. That is the Blackrock black hole, sucking it all in fast. Now, this is the volume model that I tweeted yesterday, so it's irrefutable. I said BlackRock needs to buy as much as 7,000 to 8,000 Bitcoin. We'll show you those exact numbers in a minute when we go into details. My estimate of volume was, let me get this right, make sure I see the right numbers, $587.6 million worth, and it ended up being $562.9 million worth. The model was 3.3% off. I like the model to be within a 5% degree of accuracy. And now it's getting even tighter because the more data I have, the more accurate the model becomes. And we like models here on this channel. In addition, from Bitcoin Archive, there is a group called Patient Capital Management, which I never heard of before, but they have $1.4 billion in assets under management, and they want to allocate 15% of their bag to Bitcoin. So the allocations are no longer 1% or half 1% or 2%. Now they're going whole hog, 15%. You could do the math. What's 15% of $1.4 billion? It's quite a bit of money, but compared to some of the other crazy buying out there, it's not too bad. In addition, this is kind of crazy news, okay? And I'll show you more detail on how much Grayscale have bled. But Grayscale is seeking approval from the SEC to introduce what they call the Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust, seeded by GBTC shares. The Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust will have lower fees, and it'll be a spin-off from GBTC to Bitcoin. Will not apparently, we're not sure, but it may not trigger a capital gains tax event for GBTC shareholders. And the fees are not being disclosed at this time, but they say they will be competitive with some of the low-cost Bitcoin ETFs in the market. A person close to Grayscale told the desk. Now, what does this mean exactly? Okay, they've lost nearly 40% of their bag in 41 days, and now they're scratching their saying, what do we do now? Oh, well, we're going to be gone in another 60 days, trading days at this rate. So let's do something creative. Let's create another ETF with normal fees, not 1.5%. It's just, this is part one of capitulation, by the way, of the story today. They realized they got to go. Let's look at the drainage. I just pulled out one of my charts just for GBTC only. You can see they had the 6th worst day of drainage. And that's after the first few days was all FTX selling. And then we had DCG selling. The selling continues. And the bleed is not stopping. It doesn't matter. The other ETFs are sucking it all in. But that's staggering. Nearly $500 million yesterday. 6th worst day ever after 41 days. Bingo. So they're going to create a new little ETF. If they get permission from SEC. SEC could just be nasty and say, hey, go pound sand. We're going to let you bleed to death. And we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. But what's spooking the market right now is the T+1 situation that I've been talking about for a long time. So the drainage happens yesterday. The coins hit the market today. So today, Grayscale has transferred 7,100 Bitcoin worth $511.2 million to Coinbase. You see the pattern? Okay. Drainage. Token flow. A day later. Real simple. And that's why the market's rattled. And again, I was hoping for some people that don't have bags, we'd see 65K again. Looks like we might not, but we just saw 69K. That might be as good as we get going in, and we'll talk about why as well. In other capitulation news, we have JP Morgan, the guy who's been fighting Bitcoin in front of Congress, in front of the Senate, in partnership with other political players. Now he says, and again, in the all capitulate news, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon said he would defend people's rights to purchase Bitcoin. Jamie's a smart man. He saw what happened to Vanguard. And nobody wants to be vanguarded. People want freedom of choice, especially when they see the returns on Bitcoin up 260% in a very short window of time. And there's not much doing that these days. Not much at all, except for another asset I'll talk about in a minute too. But again, good on you, Jamie. You're capitulating. Well done. And in other breaking news, Bernstein is now pounding the table, convinced, this is from Walter Bloomberg, convinced Bitcoin price is heading towards $150,000. Again, that's a mere doubling from here, so that's not a very brave prediction. And we know we're going there. 150K is the new 100, as I say. We've been saying for a while here, but that's good. Now, in crazy news of alpha and returns, another black hole, MicroStrategy, again, from Bitcoin Monger, Funds that bought the MicroStrategy convertible are up 25% in 4 trading days. Institutions only care about one thing, ladies and gentlemen, and that is number go up. And to make 25% in 4 days, not bad. And Saylor could easily tap the convertible market again in a few months or even tomorrow, sell it at 0.65% interest rate till 2030, and keep on buying Bitcoin. It's insane. This is the financial jiu-jitsu I've been talking about for years and how it works. And this is the alpha that cannot be denied. Now, there's a key level we have to look at, and that's 75K. I expected a little bit of resistance at 76K, which I covered yesterday, but 75K is now a big liquidation level. And if Bitcoin does spike or hit 75K, we will see $1.410 billion worth of shorts get their shorts liquidated hard, which is not good. But you know, if you are long, you like this because this spikes your price. So again, it's how markets work. You'll always get people who are perma-bears and don't understand the math, etc. And they will continue to go short. And that's what's happening here. And that will pump the price up. So the little, oh, by the way, we went from 69K to 69.6. We're going back up north of 70K in a few minutes, probably before the end of the stream. That's just how markets work. Okay, if you are going short or you're leveraged long on Bitcoin, they're just going to steal your bags. That's how it works. Now, another news from working on the weekend as usual, like me. I don't know if people get that reference, but it's a lyric from a song that stuck in my head from 2020. Anyway, rapper Drake posts Michael Saylor's Bitcoin video to his 146 million Instagram followers. This is what I call the mainstreamification of Bitcoin. 150 million people, of which he's always been pro-Bitcoin for a long time, wore the t-shirts and stuff. But now he's just pinging them. It's like, hey, everybody get some Bitcoin, all right? These people, these musicians, have way more influence and way more reach than many politicians, which is very interesting. And speaking of politicians, Nayib Bukele, he's sucking in Bitcoin from a number of sources. They get Bitcoin revenue from their passport program. So if you want to buy citizenship for El Salvador, you got to pay in Bitcoin. Also, they get revenue from converting Bitcoin to USD for local businesses. Also, Bitcoin from mining, and Bitcoin from revenue from government services. And first and foremost, I'll get a little bit, people don't like sometimes when I talk politics, but it's very important to understand the interrelation between Bitcoin and politics. Nayib Bukele has done amazing things for El Salvador in a very short window of time, but he is the few politicians that actually are on the side of the people. And I advocate for two things. One, aligning yourself with the 2% of assets, or the top 1% of assets, and also the top 1% or 2% of thinkers. And it's crucial to acknowledge the intrinsic connection between political dynamics and Bitcoin. They are not, you cannot, oh, by the way, we're above 70,000 again, just like I said. It's wick down, take your money, go back up. It's bonkers. Anyway, but it's imperative, everybody, to understand how intertwined these two things are. So you can't talk about Bitcoin without sometimes keeping your head out the window and seeing what's going on in the world. Anyway, shout out to Nayib Bukele. And Bitcoin black hole, again, more are capitulating all the time. As Saylor said yesterday, assets are being sucked in to this puppy. Not just gold ETFs, but now the S&P 500 and many other things, as per that fund, the Patient Fund. By the way, I like the word patient because that's what Charlie Munger always says, what a market is. It moves assets and wealth from the impatient to the patient. Maybe that's why it just occurred to me now. Maybe that's why they call their fund the Patient Fund. And everybody's capitulating. And it's only a matter of time before, shout out to Captain America, not America, America, in Discord who shared this. Bitcoin gets everyone eventually. Everyone has to capitulate. That's just how it works. Let's jump into the numbers for the ETFs, okay? Day 41, raw numbers. You can see that big dark red. Third worst, sixth worst, whichever way you measure a day ever for GBTC. But check the beautiful green at the top. 562.9 million into Blackrock. They had one of their best days ever yet, too. Fidelity had a strong day as well. And look at HODL. HODL on fire. And why is that? We'll talk about that in a minute too. The macro flow of everything, you can see the green at the bottom is the GBTC outflow, and the red and blue are, red is Blackrock, blue is Fidelity, and they're both moving in sync today, which is a rare occasion. And of course, HODL doing really well too, spiking up there. HODL becoming the third best ETF all of a sudden. We'll talk about why in a minute if I remember to put the slide in. Hope I did. We had the 7th best money day flow ever from 41. This thing is not slowing down, ladies and gentlemen. The money flow is still up and to the right. Just look at the right side. And then, of course, the blue bar showing you how many dollars are flowing in. Not Bitcoin, dollars, net dollars. And $21.1 billion are now in the 9 new ETFs. 21.1 billion in 41 days. It's pretty insane. And the number of Bitcoin in these new ETFs is now 417,000 Bitcoin. 417,000. That is crazy. And it's happening fast. But guess who just broke 200,000? Blackrock. Blackrock. IBIT spot Bitcoin ETF amasses 200,000 Bitcoin in 2 months. An impressive record. It took Saylor way over 3 years to get to this level. And now Blackrock is on top of Saylor. Once more, Michael Saylor was in there yesterday for a brief moment, but now it's back down to earth. And the number of Bitcoin pulled out of the system yesterday was 7,011 Bitcoin gone into these ETFs, despite the massive dumpage from Grayscale, ladies and gentlemen. Massive dumpage. Now, Bitcoin chart time. Why is HODL on fire? Anybody have the answer? Ta-da! This is the answer. Shout out to 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗞𝗚𝗚 as well for spotting this. This is VanEck's Spot Bitcoin ETF. And you can see what they have decided to do is something a little bit radical. They said they're going to remove all fees until 2025 per 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗞𝗚𝗚. And therefore, everybody's now FOMOing into the lowest fee house. And a big thank you as well to Brick House for sharing this with me and bringing it to my attention. Again, I always say the best, cheapest, fastest wins. But here, this is a sign that the cheapest definitely wins and is taking the day. So that was a quick Bitcoin ETF for today update, Bitcoin Daily. And later today, I'll do the Octa stuff as well. Look at all the on-chain technical analysis, which includes a lot of Bitcoin stuff too. So thank you all. Hit the like on the way out, everybody. Thank you as well for being here. Everybody, Mr. Hammer and the team and K8 and Red Panda Pie, Margie K, Cat with a K, all the ladies, Mopbots, Des in Namibia. Thank you all for coming, everybody. I'll see you all later. Back to work. And again, don't be disappointed with the dip in Bitcoin. That's an opportunity. All right. See you soon. Bye.